Yogis, namaste. Welcome back to your practice and to your mat. Now, if you clicked on this video, it might mean that you need a bit of self-massage. And we're going to do just that today. And we call it actually MFR or myofascial release in yoga. Okay, essentially it is a combination of self-massage techniques and your yin postures. And you will be needing 2 blocks for today's practice. And if you have a couple of massage balls or tennis balls will do. Okay, so something that is a little bit on the tougher side, not too soft, that would be able to get into the trigger points in your body. Okay, for today specifically, we will work more into your head, neck, shoulders, and your upper back. Okay, so I have about 3 different postures that we're going to go through today. And if you have time, you can always pause the video, stay in those poses, or you can lengthen out your whole time with the massage. Okay, but for today, I'm just going to run through the 3 options for you that you can do, especially if you start to feel a bit of discomfort or a bit of soreness or fatigue in this area of the body. Okay, so essentially your head, your neck, your shoulders, okay, and a little bit of the upper back, just around the shoulder blades. Okay, whenever you're ready, we'll go ahead and get started. You can set your balls aside. We're going to use our blocks first. Okay, if you have 2 blocks, that would be awesome. Okay, if not, 1 block will do. I'll explain the setup options for that. So the first one, we're going to go from top to bottom, yeah? So we're going to work into the back of the neck, back of the head first, using your blocks. Okay, so I'm going to show you. If you have 2 blocks, okay, they can be a bit thinner. I know my block is a bit on the thicker side. It's okay for the block to be thinner as well. Now, it's better if you have really solid blocks, like these cork blocks or the wooden blocks. Okay, as compared to the foam blocks, because then these edges will be able to get into your muscles of the neck, muscles of the head. Okay, so let's go ahead and set it up. We'll start with 2 blocks as your option first, and then I'll show you if you have 1 block, yeah? So I'm going to place 1 block at the lowest level, and this will be at the base of my head. Okay? If you have a second block, you're going to tilt it on top of the first block, and just at an angle, and essentially this part of the block, okay, this edge of the block is going to be massaging the back of your neck. Okay, so how that will look like, and I will turn around and just guide yourselves down. And also you do not need a mat. You can do this on the floor, your carpet, just anything that's comfortable here, just adjusting. So I'm a bit too low. I'm going to scoot forward. And from here, I'm going to place the base of my neck into that edge of the block. Okay, so immediately I can already feel a bit of pressure here. So once you land, you may not stay in stillness. You might be looking for your trigger point. So you could be turning your head left and right, just finding your spot. There could be even more than 1 spot that you like to work with today. Okay, so just go for it. You can still adjust. If it's too low, come up higher. If it's too high, come down lower. Your hands and your feet completely up to you, whatever feels comfortable. Okay, from here you can continue just rolling the head side to side. You can hold a specific trigger point. So let's say I found a spot here. Okay, so I actually found a spot here at the back of my neck, right side. I can just hold there for a couple breaths. Okay, and I'm going to let my muscles soften here. So a bit like your yin practice, encourage the muscles to be easy. Yeah, which means that you're allowing for the weight of the body to just come down onto your blocks and onto the ground. Okay, so we're going to be here, if you're holding in stillness, for at least about 4 to 5 breaths. All right, every exhale, you are encouraging that sense of surrender even more so. Of course, if it gets a bit too intense, you can always reset, roll it away from the spot. You might come into a second spot, or you might return to that same spot. Okay, it's really up to you. I would like you to just listen to how your body responds. Now, after 5 breaths, you can come out of it, so you can roll away from the trigger point. And then you might find a second trigger point, perhaps on the other side of the neck, or you can adjust. Maybe you like to come up higher or come down lower, find a different spot. Now, once you found your spot again, you can have that side-to-side motion in the neck, just rolling left and right, or just like the first trigger point, you're holding steady. Okay, so notice when you're holding in your MFR, your myofascial release, if your muscles start to tense up, there could be a bit of like a protection mechanism. So telling your body that it's okay to relax is going to help you get into the trigger point itself. Okay, so the moment the muscle starts to act up or the muscle starts to create a bit of a barrier of protection, it's a little bit more difficult to access the trigger point. And it might require a bit more time in this process. Okay, so similarly, about 4 to 5 breaths once you found your second trigger point. And then same thing, if it gets too intense, you can roll out of it, reset, and then come back. Or you can find another trigger point. Okay, so feel free to pause this video and just explore this particular release for the back of your neck. Okay, if you're here and you're comfortable, if you have your 2 blocks, feel free to pause, yeah? Now, if you have only 1 block, I'm going to show you. So I'm going to come out of my props. Okay, so I'm going to take 1 block away. I only have 1 block now. Now, I might keep it at level 1 if it's quite a high block like mine, or I might roll it up higher to level 2. Okay, which means that it's just a little bit higher and it could potentially get into the muscle of the neck a little better. Okay, so from here I'm going to come back down onto that block. So once again, find your spot. The edge of the block is the one that gets into the neck muscle. Okay, similar to the first setup, but now without the tilted block. Okay, then same thing. You have a couple moments to find your trigger point. Once you found it, hold it for 4 to 5 breaths. Again, muscles are soft, muscles are easy. Notice your entire body, if there are parts that begin to tense up in protection of the body, because that's what a reflex does. See if you can guide the body into a sense of ease, a sense of rest. Okay, these myofascial techniques may not always be the most comfortable. Okay, that's because we are essentially going into trigger points of the body that feel sensitive, that feel sore, that needs attention. And so with that, you might be feeling a bit of discomfort here and there. But as long as it's discomfort that we can stay in, then I invite you to stay in that moment, just allowing for everything to soften down. Okay, so the more we can allow for the muscles to relax, allow for the joints to soften, and then perhaps the myofascial technique can be a little bit more efficient and a little bit more successful. Okay, similarly, you might find a second trigger point after your 4 or 5 breaths. Hold it there. And now feel free to explore again in this version of your neck muscle release. And know that you can find a couple trigger points in just one technique, but try not to do this for too long, okay? So 4 or 5 breaths is just enough. And then you can move on to the next, or you can just remove this completely and we'll move into our second work of the day. Okay, so feel free to pause the video. You can come back to your double block if that's what you have. You can work on your single block if that's what you have. Okay, from here, if you're ready to try something else, let's go ahead and find our balls now. So you still need 1 or 2 blocks, okay, depending on what you have. I will now set the blocks aside. Okay, so I'm going to put it by the side of my hips, and the balls, I'm going to hold on to it. Okay, so I'm going to come up to an upright seated position. I'll explain first. We're going to be targeting the top of our shoulders, which is right here. Okay, it's your traps, yeah, upper traps and the trap muscles. So essentially, we'll be putting the ball somewhere at the top of the shoulders and maybe just a little towards the back of it. Okay, but not any lower, because we'll have one more technique later for the upper back, closer to the shoulder blades. But for now, we're just going to focus into the traps. Okay, the trapezius muscle, which is at the top and just slightly to the back. All right, sometimes we hold tension here that we don't realize, but when we start to come into all these myofascial techniques, then we start to feel, oh, okay, maybe I do have a couple of sore spots here. Okay, so what's going to happen now? Set your blocks off to the side of your hips. Grab your balls. We're going to lie down onto your mat, onto the ground, whatever you have here. Feel free to step your feet onto the mat. Adjust the spine so you have long spine underneath of you. Grab your balls, roll them towards the top of the shoulder and maybe slightly under. Okay, so again, it's your opportunity to discover where the trigger points are for you. Now in this position, without any block underneath the hips, I actually don't feel much release into my upper shoulder, my upper traps, or actually at the top of my shoulder. So what's going to be helpful here is I'm going to grab one of my blocks first. We're going to test it out. Okay, so grabbing one of my blocks, lift my hips, and then I'm going to slide this block underneath my hips. Okay, so I'm going to press down into my feet, lift my butt, slide one block under, and I'm going to rest my hips down onto the block. Now, if you have only one block, you can keep it at level 1, or if it's not enough sensation yet of release, you can lift up again, come up to level 2. This is equivalent to having 2 blocks. Okay, so you're in this position now. Basically, with the elevated hips, you're pushing more weight down to the upper body. And with that, some more weight is coming down onto the balls just behind your shoulders. Okay, so you could stay here again in stillness, just relax like a yin posture. Or if you like to just move side to side a little, up and down a little, just working through the muscles of the trapezius here. Keep your hands up to you, yeah? You want to experiment? You can take your arms up. You can cross your hands in front of your chest. You can open up like a cactus position that will get into the different parts of the shoulder. Sensations might change as well. So again here, similar to the head and the neck earlier, you could stay just holding in stillness, letting the weight of the body sink down. Okay, you got 4 or 5 breaths to be here. Or those 4 or 5 breaths, you're moving a little side to side in place, up and down, just finding a sense of release. So these techniques work different for different bodies, and also how you feel today may not be the same as how you felt yesterday. Okay, so just experiment. If the tall block is a bit too much, bring it down lower. If you have 2 blocks underneath you, you can remove one at any time. Okay, so go ahead and experiment with how that feels. Then again, feel free to pause this video, work with this technique for as much or as long as you like, but not too long. Always remember that we don't overdo all of these massage techniques because inflammation is possible. Okay, you don't want to overwork your muscles, just like any massage, yeah? So just be mindful. I would say 4 to 5 breaths. If you found a trigger spot, switch it to another 4 to 5 breaths. Maximum about 8 to 10 breaths maybe. Maybe about 14 to 15 breaths at the most. Okay, these breaths are slow and steady. The exhales encourage that sense of release. Okay, feel free to pause the video, working at your own pace. And for now, I will move on to the next. Okay, so when you're ready to move on to the final technique, you can remove the blocks from underneath, the balls from underneath. Okay, so I'm going to come up so I can explain to you first. So the final part of the puzzle would be the shoulder blade area. Okay, so just now we were here at the top of the shoulders. Now we're going to roll down even more. So if you use your hands to hold on to the opposite shoulder blade, you can feel here, there's that bony part, and we're going to go somewhere to the under of the shoulder blade. Okay, so there are a lot of trigger points there. I mean, for me at least. I don't know if that is the same for everyone, but you can explore how it feels today. Okay, so find the shoulder blade, and we're going to place the ball just underneath. Okay, so essentially around here, and same for the other side. Okay, so you can always find the placement that works for you. It could be closer to the middle of the spine. It could be rolling outwards more. So there's no right or wrong. There's a lot of potential trigger points in this area of the body, so you can explore. Okay, so this is a bit more of the upper back. Now, in this one, we're not going to use any of the blocks, just the balls. So we're going to come down. Okay, so keep your feet on the mat like before. Just come down here onto your elbows first. roll the balls where they would land, okay, where the spot that we were speaking about earlier. Okay, so you're going to set this up first. Now, find your spot and you can use your hips to roll forwards and back. You can adjust. So I like mine to be a little outward, so I'm going to adjust there. Now, the whole time we're going to be keeping our head lifted. Okay, so already here, the hips are on the mat or on the floor. Upper body is lifting up. And you can either wrap your arms around your chest. Okay, roll side to side. So you're shifting from one shoulder blade to the next. You can hold, yeah. So if you're leaning to the left, you can breathe 4 to 5 breaths. Release to the right. Or you can take your hands behind the head, interlace the fingers. Okay, so that will maybe take some pressure off the neck. And then same thing, roll side to side. Now this can be quite intense. I'm feeling it quite a lot. So when you do, just be mindful. All right, similarly, 4 to 5 breaths if you're holding in stillness. Or 4 to 5 breaths, just oscillating right and left, right and left. Okay, feel free to go for a second trigger point as well, and then a couple breaths there. Similarly, like the first 2 techniques. Okay, but once again, reminder that we don't overdo, yeah? So let the muscles breathe out. And we don't continuously stay in this position for too long because there is potential for the muscle to fatigue and the muscle to be sore and even more inflamed after. Okay, so again, feel free to pause the video. And that would be all that we're covering today. Essentially, your head, neck, shoulders, and your upper back. Okay, feel free to give it a go. We will continue with more myofascial techniques for the rest of the body and maybe using other props as well as we go along this series. So I hope you have a good self-massage and I'll see you in the next video. Namaste.